What's up, guys? I'm here with Martijn, and he is one of the most transformational people that I've seen go through the Default Kings program. Martijn, thank you for being here, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So, Martijn, tell the people about your physical transformation through Default Kings.
Yeah, the hard number on the scale is at the highest, it was 51.14 pounds, kind of floating around the 50 pounds lost mark. I was definitely one of those people who, before I started the program, I hadn't really dared to step on a scale in a while.
Mhm.
And I had this idea in my head of like, oh, I'm probably around like the 200-pound mark, I thought. And
Mhm.
then when I stepped on it, and it was like, oh, 217, that's like a lot higher than I thought it was. So that was pretty confrontational. But of course, by then I'd begun my journey, which really helped.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow, dude. So in terms of like before you actually started the journey, then what were you struggling with before actually joining?
Just in terms of again, just starting off with like the hard physical stuff, is that yeah, I was getting big to the point where like I was starting to have trouble tying my shoelaces. You know, when bending down, it was getting hard to actually reach my shoes, which was very hard to face about myself.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just the lack of self-confidence that came with it. Like I would constantly feel the need to like tuck in my belly in public because I was getting to the point that I was feeling like too ashamed to just be myself in public, so to speak.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Dude, I remember when you first joined and just hearing about like everything you're struggling with, and that's tough. That is tough for anyone to live through, right? Just as their day to day. So throughout the process, like what did we do to actually help you solve this problem specifically?
I think the main thing for me was just like the concept of completely redefining myself. I really needed that at that point in time. Like in the past 3 or so years, I've done like two attempts at therapy uh,
Hmm.
for like the mental struggles I was having,
Hmm.
and I wasn't really happy with the way that they were tackling it because it felt like we weren't really doing anything about me. We were
Hmm.
just kind of talking about like, okay, you have this issue, and but we weren't really doing anything to tackle it.
Hmm.
Now, of course, you guys aren't like licensed therapists, but what really helped for me was just knowing that I was working on improving myself and that I was kind of like reprogramming myself, to really feeling like I was working on me and
Hmm.
working on some changes that I knew I needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So taking it just from kind of that like woo woo approach to how to actually apply these concepts and turn them into actual life change into my own identity, how I view myself and everything I do. That's awesome, dude. Because I've seen so many guys struggle with the actual application of concepts. And it was really clear that you applied pretty directly when you started. I'm curious, other than like the therapy that you tried before to try to solve some of those mental blocks, what else had you tried to get the fat off?
Yeah, in terms of that, there was just a couple times where I was like, okay, I need to get in shape more. So I would take a couple more walks, or I would do some home workouts with two like dumbbells that I had.
Mhm.
The only time that I really took a more structural approach to my physical health was when I was working abroad in Ireland, and they had a gym like right across the road, and I knew that a colleague of mine went there. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, and I did that for a few months, and that probably helped. But also, I was still eating very unhealthily,
Mhm.
and I wasn't really doing anything about my sleep. Like I was gaming until very late at night still, so I wasn't really tackling the total picture. And other things like protein intake that you guys focus on a lot, I wasn't really doing. So and also then when I got back home to the Netherlands to work here again,
Mhm.
when I lost that specific gym, I didn't really have it in me to keep going. So I was just like, okay, I guess I'll do it again at some point in the future.
Mhm.
But then the pandemic happened as well, so then it just never really happened for a while, and it was really just tied to that specific situation and that specific location I was in. But it wasn't something that I did because I defined myself like that.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
was really important to change.
Yeah. It seems like you had like a few of these almost episodes where you put one foot forward or a few feet forward, but then kind of took, two steps back, so to speak, because of changing circumstances and changing environments and changing access to like equipment or whatever it may have been. So you've been with us for a while now. And I'm sure there have been multiple case scenarios where circumstances weren't perfect. Why do you think that this time around you've been able to remain consistent through changing circumstances that, and you weren't able to do that before?
Yeah, really partly because of the self identity. Like I never identified as someone who is physically active. Like I've done it for a while now that I always bike to the office, which takes like over 45 minutes.
Hmm.
And whenever I would tell people that, they would be like, "Oh wow, you bike like that? You must be a very physically active person." And I'd be like, "Well, no, I'm not. This is just one thing that I do, whereas otherwise my life isn't really like that." Whereas
Hmm.
nowadays, if they would say that to me, I would be like, "Hell yeah, I'm a physically active person,"
Yeah.
because that's how I started to see myself.
Hmm.
But also when I was struggling because I got the news of my stepfather's illness, for instance, that was a tough one. Just
Hmm.
having that community as well of supportive people around, and I like I'll never forget how when I put that piece of news in my VIP chats that Joey immediately responded like, "Brother, let's get you in a call and talk about this." Like that really impressed me. Like, wow, the individual attention that you guys can give to us, that was really impressive to me. And the two of us talked through that at the time, and that was very enlightening. So yeah, the coaching, the community, and the change in self identity really
Wow.
helped.
That's so impactful, bro. And that just makes me so satisfied just honestly hearing how that was able to impact you, because that's something that, we focus on massively. Obviously, this is our business, but this is so much more than a business to us. And to hear that you're actually able to leverage what we're offering as a means to work through that scenario is huge, bro. That's why we wake up every day. So thank you for sharing that. Um, in terms of then like the overall impact, other than just, 51 pounds down, confidence through the roof, identifying as a physically active person, what do you feel like the overall impact of this has been on your life?
Definitely my mental state, most of all. That's something that I really wanted to talk about today as well, because
Mm.
it's not something that I've opened up to in my immediate circles a lot. Like mostly my best friend knew, and obviously people could tell, but I never really opened up about it. But like I was in a very bad place mentally, and I
Mhm.
was basically at a point where like I'm not necessarily planning on doing something to myself now, but I did have the feeling like I really feel like that's where I'm going to end up in a couple of years from now.
Mhm.
And last weekend, I was actually at my mom's and my stepdad's, and um, I opened up about that a bit more,
Mhm.
like for the first time with them actually.
Yeah.
And that's when my mom told me that actually she has said in the last year or two to my stepdad that she was kind of like bracing herself for getting a phone call with a bad piece of news. I
Wow.
never knew that, and I was like, I was amazed that it was at the point that other people were thinking that about me, even though I thought that I was holding it in
Yeah.
relatively. Um, but just the fact that we're able to talk about that stuff
Yeah.
now really shows the growth that I've gone through. And I remember the exact moment where, after several months of having gone through progress, that it really hit me like, wow, I no longer identify as being depressed.
Yeah.
That was a big one. So last weekend when my mom said that to me, I like gave her a hug and I was like, the danger's over. Like, don't worry.
Dude. Wow, bro. I appreciate you sharing that so much. I don't know if you can tell, but I am like, you are tugging on my heartstrings
Yeah, I wasn't expecting.
because I knew about everything you were struggling with, of course, but just hearing you talk about it on the other side now is I'm getting goosebumps over here, dude. I'm almost like tearing up. Um, that is so meaningful to me, in so many ways. Um, I mean, you know everything about, me growing up and watching what my father went through. And I watched him go through a very similar cycle where his mental health just completely deteriorated alongside his physical health and his weight gain. And hearing that your family was identifying that, but now that fear is gone and you have the conviction and you have the confidence in your own mind that you know that there's been healing, that you can talk about it openly is huge, dude.
For
Thank you for
sure.
sharing that, and your vulnerability and your ability to share that. Like I feel like I want to reinforce that in you right now. There is somebody that is listening to this that is in a spot that is similar to where you were when you started or worse. And you sharing that could have been the thing they needed to hear. That's not just going to inspire them to lose weight and get healthy and get fit, but that could have been the thing that they needed to hear that could have saved their life, man. So thank you for having the strength to share that. Seriously. Wow. Whew. Okay. So on that note, if there is somebody who is listening to this and they're resonating with you and they're feeling you and they know what that feels like, why should they take action right now and make a change in their life?
I would say don't underestimate how much your mental state can affect the people around you. Even if you think that they're not catching on, it could easily be that they notice your struggle, but just really don't know how to approach it.
Mhm.
So, like, never think that you can't reach out to people to ask them for help, because it could be that they're like just waiting for you to make that first step before they really like reach out that hand to you.
Yeah.
And also really don't underestimate how much just little pieces of improvement to your self-confidence can just snowball into a complete change in your mental state. Like, I definitely would never have expected the result that I got from my journey. But it happened anyway, so it could happen for others as well, for sure.
Dude, that's fantastic, bro. I think that piece of advice is so valuable, and there's going to be lots and lots of impact in the lives of real human beings because of you being able to share that advice, man. Dude, I cannot thank you enough for not just taking the time here today to share your journey and your struggles and the things you've overcome with all these amazing people, man. I can't thank you enough for the hard work that you put in over the course of this program. But I just want to communicate to you, brother. This video right here it will be up until the end of time somewhere. And what that means is it's going to be able to impact lives until the end of time. And you being here today and you having the strength to share what you just shared, it's going to impact lives long after you're gone, my friend. So thank you for that. Appreciate you massively. And it's truly an honor to have worked alongside you, brother. Thank you.
You, man.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Martine. Thank you, brother. See you guys on the next one.